guys to IR. Um, Pending further examinations, we'll be able to determine the length.
What, can you be a little bit more specific on the shoulder? What kind of shoulder, what kind of knee injury?
Shoulder injury and a knee injury. Once we get a little bit more from the doctors, we'll probably be able to give you guys more in the next day or two.
And then with Derek, who goes in then and replaces that? Something that is that a role Quan can fill?
Well, that's a role that Percy and Quan will be looking at.
And then for you, looking at, the starts the last couple of years, and you didn't get to the start that you wanted in the 2-5, 2-6. How do you're coming in that key stretch right now. How do you make sure that what happened Thursday doesn't snowball into upcoming weeks?
Oh, I just think first and foremost, there was a good opportunity for us the last couple of days to dive into several things, study some things, look at some things, evaluate what we do and how we do it, evaluate the way we're doing it. And I think, going through it and in our conversations that we've come to some pretty good resolutions on some things that, most certainly do need to be corrected, need to be fixed, and some things that we can do to help the players.
And is there anything in particular that you could even share about that? And then do you have a different level of confidence that it wouldn't seep into coming weeks?
Yes, I do. Just because it's all fixable. It's all things that we believe that we can get corrected, get handled, and go forward.
You said on Friday that you were going to spend time evaluating the situation. What was it like for you the last few days if you did take that kind of a deep look at everything?
Friday was a long day, the longest of Saturday and Sunday, longer than Saturday and Sunday, that's for sure. But, getting a chance to go back and look at specific things, looking for specific things, look at some of the analytics that we have, that we get from our people, talk about that tell us about some of the things. Got a chance to look at them, and then you look at the tape and you see them and you say, okay, I get it, look at it, let's correct it, and let's go on.
I know we asked you before about lack of snaps for the rookie class other than for Emmanuel. But then you look at some of the free agent signings, and at least from the outside, there's some questions or concerns about what we've seen. Are you surprised, I guess, as overall, between the draft and the free agent class, that there seem to be a lot of questions about how these players are helping you guys?
Well, I think the biggest thing, more than anything else, to look at and think about is starting the young quarterback. That's going to create some things that are going to happen. And I think as we play, it doesn't matter who we play, as he grows and develops and gets better and better, so will we. And I think that's a little bit part of it. Looking and evaluating the draft class, there's a reason why we drafted some of those guys. Each of those guys, there's a reason for it. An example is Quan. What happened last year to Cam. We really felt that we needed to have another top flight, young, depth type of safety, and that's what we did in the draft. And so, some of those guys we drafted for specific reasons, and we'll continue to work with them.
And just to follow up with regards to the free agents, guys you've added, Cody Barton, Andrew Wiley, et cetera, how do you feel about that group, and do you need to see more out of some of those guys?
I think that those guys are growing and developing in what we do, and do we need to see more? We need to see more from everybody. We really feel like we can play better, we can coach better, we can all do everything better. We really think this is a collective thing. We're all culpable for the things that have happened in the last 5 weeks. We've had some opportunities and we've missed them. Well, we can't miss them. This is a production-based business. I get that part of it. And we're going to look at them one game at a time. This game, we got Atlanta coming up, and our objective is to tomorrow when the players come in, it'll be an opportunity for us to get that bad feeling and bad taste out of our mouth and start getting ready for Atlanta.
As you were going through everything this weekend, the analytics, talking to coaches, the film, did anything surprise you? Anything jump out that you didn't see maybe initially?
I think probably some of the things that surprised us was just the missed opportunities. You go back and you look at, one of the things that we looked at obviously was the third down. I was looking at third down and just the opportunities we had on both sides of the ball. Not just, on the defense or on the offense, but on both sides of the ball. We could have done some things better. And things that would have sustained drives for us on offense and things that would have gotten us off the field immediately on defense.
And the secondary in particular, a tough game, and then to lose Derek Forrest for a bit too. I mean, is there anything you tell that group or say to that group? It just seems like it's part of the game, but
It is part of the game, Nikki, and I think the big thing for it is just next man up. You know, let's get ready to roll. And you don't have time to worry about those things. It's very unfortunate. He's a heck of a young man. He's had a good start to his career. He's played a lot of football already, and this is his third season. But it's very unfortunate because you saw the growth and development. He's playing hard. He brings an infectious energy, and to lose him early is tough on us. But we drafted Percy for a reason. We got Quan for a reason, and this is why. And so now it's the next man up mentality, and we just got to go forward and get ready.
Without giving specifics about the injury, are you able to say if this is something that you're hopeful he can return at some point in the season? Or if
That's to be determined, and that's what we're hoping. We're hoping it's no more than the short term, which would hopefully just be 4 weeks. But that's why they got to do some further testing just to check on it, just to see where it is.
You guys have thrown the ball a lot, not just in obvious past situations. And I know that part of that's about the development of Sam. Do you still feel like that's the best way to optimize this offense right now?
Well, I think the thing that you have to look at is why did we have to throw the ball as much early on? And some of it was, coming back and being very competitive in the Denver game's a good example. Doing the things that we did in Buffalo, unfortunately, trying to come back, and then last week. I mean, that puts you in a very tough, difficult situation. And, it's interesting. I had a conversation with EB, and that was one of the things that we talked about we didn't want to have to do, but we've had to do, unfortunately. That's put so much on Sam early. That's expediting his development, that's for sure. But we don't want that. If we want to be balanced, we want to be able to run, use play action, and drop back pass. We want to be able to use those phases of offense as opposed to getting stuck and saying, okay, we got to try and do this and try and do this to give yourself a chance to win.
But even when you guys haven't faced big deficits, you've still called a lot of pass plays relative to the rest of the league. Is that a philosophical thing? Like, do you want to keep doing that even if you don't face those early deficits?
Well, if you're having success, you want to continue to do it. I mean, the quick throws are extended handoffs, and there's several ways to look at it that way.
And one of the things I think you said you were going to look at was the defensive play calling. What did you make of that when you went back?
I didn't say that. I was going to say look at the things that we do. I didn't say anything about the choices of what Jack calls.
Okay.
I said we're going to look at what we do.
Okay.
Okay?
Going back to the secondary, and just, obviously a lot of attention has been paid to Emmanuel and some of his struggles, but it's not just him who's had some issues, right? And so I'm just curious what you've seen from that group, and maybe how do you explain some of the mistakes that have been happening in these games?
Well, I'll say, great example is the last touchdown for Chicago. Kendall Fuller was going in to try and make a play on the ball, and that ball was thrown high. And if you look at it and try and time it out, Kendall's there in time to at least knock the ball down, but the ball was thrown high. And so it's a guy trying to make a play. He wasn't doing more than he shouldn't have. He was doing exactly what he was. He had the beat on the play, went to break on it, and the ball was thrown high. Whether it was thrown on purpose or thrown on accident, it was a high ball. So sometimes those are the things that happen. Sometimes it's about putting yourself in the right position. Their first touchdown against us, we were in one of our cover twos, our shells. We were in cover two, and unfortunately the safety was too narrow. Needs to get to his landmark with vision, and probably has a chance to either influence the quarterback not to throw that ball, or if he does, he's got a chance to make a play on the ball. So those are the type of things that that have happened. And again, that was a young player in that situation. It's got to be better.
For some of your guys who are already on IR before today, FA and Federian, do you anticipate starting their 21-day practice clock this week?
That's something that we most certainly do discuss and talk about, and we'll get further into that as that time comes.
And whether you're going to tell us now or not, do you have a thought in your head about there are going to be some lineup changes that will be coming that we'll see on Sunday, or do you feel it's more just sort of just do better with what we have?
Well, I think there's the things that we're going to look at. We've got some things that we most certainly have talked about, and we're going to practice them and see how things go.
Can I get one more, you guys? Okay. Looking back again, going back, looking at the last couple of years and the ability to, you get in a hole, but you also recover. Do you have that conversation with, you can't wait for that recovery period this don't know if that makes sense. Like, rather than waiting at 2-6 and starting playing well, kind of need to recover now, I guess.
Well, I look at it that you got to win. I mean, again, this is production based. This is about winning games and opportunities, and we can only face them one at a time, though. And so we'll talk about getting ready for Atlanta tomorrow, and we'll talk about obviously the opportunity that's in front of us.
Two more.
You like that, huh? Jeremy Reeves. I mean, losing him on special teams. How do you kind of fill that void?
That's a big blow for us. Obviously we have some guys on practice squad that we're going to look at and we'll be elevating. A couple of those guys are guys that are special teams guys as well, and they're defensive backs that give us options. And so we're most certainly going to look at these guys and see where we are with that conversation that that Nate and I are having as far as that's concerned.
That's one. Just to go back to Sam, what did you think? I guess at 5 weeks, I think we just said to you, we might have a discussion about having to adjust things with a young player and trying to win, but we would have all said Sam, but clearly he's been playing at a pretty good level.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel ultimately about where he's at and where he maybe exceeded expectations for you?
I think he's a little bit ahead of where we anticipate, only because he's having to throw a lot of balls. That's unfortunate to a degree, but you do like what he's done, and that's one of the things that you really appreciate. I mean, you see who he is, you see his grit, you see his toughness, you see his decision making. Those are all good, and those are things that hopefully we get this thing going in the right direction. That'll benefit as we continue the season. I mean, it's a long year. We got 12 more games left to play. And we're going to approach them one game at a time and focus in on playing the best we can each game.
All right, thanks.